Wow, I can see the polar caps on Mars. This is so cool.
I'd love to go to Mars. There are canyons deeper than the Grand Canyon, volcanoes bigger than Arizona, and it's red. Laika wants to be the first dog on Mars.
I'll sign up to go. Let's Explore Astronomy is sponsored in part by I wonder if we'll find life on Mars. Now that would be really awesome. About 100 years ago, many people thought there was life on Mars. There were tons of science fiction stories and movies about Martians. Often the Martians invaded Earth. One story even caused panic in the streets.
Really? Why? What happened?
Well, it was in 1938, October 30th to be exact. I have been reading up on this guy named Percival Lowell. He was an astronomer about 30 or 40 years ago. He studied Mars through his telescope, and his findings are quite remarkable.
Oh, what did he find?
Canals.
Wait, canals? On Mars?
Yes, on Mars. He wrote that he saw a network of straight lines connecting places around the planet. Since nothing in nature would make lines like that, he thinks they must be the work of Martians.
Martians? That's a laugh. There are no creatures living on other planets. That is pure science fiction.
No, Lowell was an astronomer, a man of science. He said these canals must have been dug by the Martians to carry water from the poles to various cities for agriculture. He says they're probably peaceful beings.
I think that is a bunch of nonsense.
Just think. Martians. Wonder what they look like.
There are no Martians. I think you have read enough tonight, Herc. Turn on the radio. See if you can find some nice show to listen to.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program of dance music to bring you a special bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News. At 20 minutes before 8 Central Time, Professor Farrell of the Mount Jennings Observatory, Chicago, Illinois, reports observing several explosions of incandescent gas occurring at regular intervals on the planet Mars. The spectroscope indicates the gas
was
to
that
be
about
hydrogen
Mars?
And moving
Shush,
toward the
Herc,
Earth
I
with
want to
enormous
hear this.
velocity.
It's some special
Professor
news
Pearson
report.
of the observatory at Princeton confirms Farrell's observation and describes the phenomenon as, quote, like a jet of blue flame shot from a gun, unquote. We now return you to the music of Ramon Raquello, playing for you in the Meridian Room of the Park Plaza Hotel, situated in downtown New York.
Blasts from the surface of Mars? It has to be the Martians, and they're headed towards Earth.
You and your Martian. It's probably nothing. Maybe a volcano or something, but not Martians.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the latest bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News. Toronto, Canada. Professor Morse of Macmillan University reports observing a total of 3 explosions on the planet Mars between the hours of 7:45 p.m. and 9:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This confirms earlier reports received from American observatories. Now, nearer home, comes a special bulletin from Trenton, New Jersey. It is reported that at 8:50 p.m., a huge flaming object, believed to be a meteorite, fell on a farm in the neighborhood of Grover's Mill, New Jersey, 22 miles from Trenton. The flash in the sky was visible within a radius of several hundred miles, and the noise of the impact was heard as far north as Elizabeth. We have dispatched a special mobile unit to the scene, and we'll have our commentator, Carl Phillips, give you a word picture of the scene as soon as he can reach there from Princeton. In the meantime, we take you to the Hotel Martinet in Brooklyn, where Bobby Millett and his orchestra are offering a program of dance music.
The Martians have landed!
No, you are wrong. There are no Martians.
We now return you to Carl Phillips at Grover's Mill.
Wait a minute, something's happening. Humped shape is rising out of the pit. I can make out a small beam of light against the mirror. What's that? There's a jet of flame springs from the mirror and it leaps right at the advancing men. It strikes them head on. Lord, they're turning into flames. whole field caught up by the woods, the barns, the gas tanks of the automobiles spreading everywhere. Coming this way now, about 20 yards to my right.
Ladies and gentlemen, due to circumstances beyond our control, we are unable to continue the broadcast from Grover's Mill.
It's the Martians! Oh no! They do exist! They're coming to kill us! We have to get out of here! Pack the bags, Shark! Get the car going! We have to get out of here! We have to get to safety! The Martians are not far from here!
But where will we go? How can we escape?
To the mountains, Herc! Maybe we can hide from the Martians in the mountains! We're sitting ducks in the city! Did that really happen, Herc?
Sure did. It was actually only a radio play of H.G. Wells's War of the Worlds, but people who tuned in during the broadcast thought it was real. The police were flooded with phone calls from people in panic. Today, we know that there are no Martian-made canals on Mars. The optics on telescopes back in Percival Lowell's time were not as good as we have today. And we now have orbiters getting high-definition close-ups of the planet, as well as rovers on the ground. So far, no Martians. But there still could be microbial life there. And what about the canals? The rovers have proven that water once flowed on Mars. And where there is water, there just could be life.
On July 20th, 1976, exactly 7 years since the day that Neil Armstrong became the first man to set foot on the moon, Viking 1 became the first successful robot to land on Mars. Here's the first photo sent from Viking 1. And here's the first color photograph taken on the surface of Mars.
Viking 2, a twin of Viking 1, landed on Mars a few months later in September. The Viking spacecraft also had orbiters, which sent back amazing photos of places like Olympus Mons, a volcano as big as the state of Arizona, and Valles Marineris, a canyon over 4,000 kilometers long and 9 kilometers deep. It would dwarf the Grand Canyon in size.
In 1997, Mars Pathfinder became the first rover on Mars. The Soviet Union had landed a rover on Mars in the 1970s, but it stopped working only 20 seconds after landing.
Pathfinder was actually two pieces, the rover, which was called Sojourner, and a base station named the Carl Sagan Memorial Station.
The mission lasted 3 months, and the rover studied the rocks, learning that they were volcanic in nature. The base station studied the weather. They discovered in the past Mars was warm and wet, that there must have been liquid water and a thicker atmosphere.
Then came the darlings of all rovers, Spirit and Opportunity. They landed on Mars in 2004 to begin a 3-month mission. After the 3 months were up, the rovers decided to put in a little overtime. And boy, did they! Both rovers kept exploring for over 7 years, and Opportunity continues after 9 years.
One of the main projects for the rover was to see if they could find direct proof that water once flowed on Mars. It turned out that was no problem. They found this rock. Only one thing known to man can wear down a rock like that: water.
Then Opportunity found these things. They were named blueberries, but you would not really want to eat them. Note the 3 berries connected together near the center of this photo. Volcanoes do not form droplets like these, neither from lava being blown out of an eruption, nor from magma flowing out of the ground. And they are made of hematite, which comes from water in bedrock. These blueberries were made by water coming from underground. And 8.5 years after that, Opportunity discovered these blueberry-like formations. They are different and may unlock new information about early Mars. And this is clay. It is made of phyllosilicates, a form of silicate that is made in neutral to alkaline water. This is the perfect type of water for life to grow in. And this is a vein of gypsum. Gypsum is only formed in water. And this is definitely calcium sulfate, only made with water.
Everywhere they roam, the rovers found new cool stuff never seen before. These things were dust devils, little tornadoes of dust, and there's still a lot to be found.
In 2012, a new rover landed on Mars and has begun its investigations. Curiosity is larger than Opportunity and Spirit and packed with several new experiments. Every day is an exciting day on Mars. So, 100 years ago, Percival Lowell thought he saw canals of water on Mars. He thought Martians must have built them. Today we know there are no such canals, but we know that water once flowed on Mars, and there could even have been oceans there. With all that water, there may have been some sort of microbial life.
Well, at least there's no Martian monsters coming to Earth to destroy us.
Hey, where did Laika go?
I don't know. Inside, I think. She was barking something about wanting to be the first dog on Mars. Check out our other episodes and let's explore astronomy series at www.tedcookproductions.com/LEA.
You will find all kinds of cool astronomy topics there. Hey, give a shout out to our sponsors, without whom we would not be here. Visit their websites and partake of their services and products. A big thank you to the Yukon Department of Tourism and Culture and Westmark Hotels, Westmark Whitehorse.